you're never gonna come around.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
but he was mindful enough. I'm not even. I don't know how he feels about abortion. I'm just saying, like on this issue, he realized that it's a majority. He's got to come around. He's gonna, it's gonna be.
But they had to do something. They had to pass the law, and this was always my theory, and I got criticized about that. It should have been more time. No, it's better to get it going, and then the system can, work itself out, and get more refined to prepare it for legalization. So, do
you think they're thinking that as well? Like Jones. Yeah. So Jones will be one of the major players that you'd put it at. Do you think his decisions are motivated by? Not, by these legal, these whatever we pass.
Yeah, he's not a lawyer. He's not a lawyer. He's a former county sheriff. I mean, the man ran the county jail, and he's also a pretty devout Christian, but he doesn't wear it on his sleeve. He never really, unless you really knew the guy, you wouldn't have any idea. And a high, sense of ethics in his own way, and he does try. And he is open, actually. That's the thing. He will be open-minded enough, kind of like a curiosity that a cop would have about something or other. I mean, I'm sorry, that's not. But he does have that curiosity about life. Oh, really? Tell me more. And that's what he'll do, and then he'll come to some conclusion eventually. And so this is why, and it was a good strategy. I think it was a strategy on his part when he started taking on marijuana right away with that biker, that bar thing. Originally, it started some kind of panic, but he put himself out there, and then Meekoff appointed him and told him that every marijuana-related thing goes through his committee, which is judiciary, and he held judiciary from day one. And that's how he got the power that he had, over it.
And he believed so much in the legislation that he got it discharged from his own committee. I mean, he has a lot of flaws, just like anybody else does, but my interactions with him were generally positive when I was in the legislature trying to advocate for those bills. And he has evolved greatly. I don't think he's right where we want him just yet, but we'll keep trying to push him.
Yeah. Well, my sense is he's not going to be carrying a flag to fight this.
Yeah.
Okay. And he has no ego about it, and he's kind of looking for, he's going to have to find something else to do. He's term limited out, next January. So I read somewhere he's thinking of running for county sheriff again to get his old position back from this guy that's sort of been fucking it up or whatever.
That's funny. Well, I think there's some important times, I think, in the history of all this where I don't know quite what it was, but I almost feel like it could have gone the other way. I don't know if it was the Supreme Court. Yeah, so let's talk about the Supreme Court or the court system in Michigan as far as, like if we... Well, we didn't finish. Is there anyone else that stands out in your mind from a legislative standpoint that's worthwhile giving a grade to, and or why? Stands out over the last 8 years, I guess.
Well, that's Carlton. I mentioned Carlton and John Walsh. True. John Walsh was another one. This man was head of judiciary, and I met with him actually, and we hit it off. This guy's a very, very smart, thoughtful man, a banker with a law degree. Right. And that man's sharp, and he knew who was in charge, and in a gentle way. And so he listened politely. I said, Tim, I thank you so much. I never thought of some of this. Really appreciate it. We'll keep that in mind. And then I met him a couple other times, and that was a good encounter. Yeah. We liked each other. And then the next conversation was in the restroom. And we got to talking about the bills, in general. What is their real chance, John? Come on, tell me. How would you peg it? That was the conversation. He said, I think we're going to get it done. there's still a few problems, as you probably know, Tim. I know you know already. So, but I think so. But he came across, like I said, again, genuine, thoughtful, and so he did a lot of shepherding on the thing too.
All right, what about the Supreme Court? I know they've. Do you feel like they've? What grade would you give them in terms of their as being the final arbiter of the interpretation of the law in Michigan?
I would say a B minus. B minus. I mean, they've made some great decisions, and see, the thing is that appellate court, is really messed up.
Yeah, they are.
It's really, really
God,
bad.
you could say that again.
And good Lord, thank God for having those folks that are in charge. I mean, really bad stuff. And opus and partisanship. Remember that what's that character? He's some O'Connell or something like that.
Yeah.
O'Connell.
Oh man, I remember that character.
Henry Sod.
Jesus.
Henry Sod also said.
Yeah.
Jane Markey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a different case. No, they were all right. You're thinking of the Safer Detroit versus Detroit election. That was a precedent. That's a published case. That's my case. But
I was thinking of Rockefeller. Jane Markey saying that usable marijuana is the dried leaves and flowers, and because it doesn't say dried flowers, wet flowers or freshly harvested are also usable. That was her logic in her most recent opinion from January 2nd of this year.
Well, she's not all there. Actually, she almost lost her election because she made some anti-Semitic comment. And she one time people recalled it at a party, and she said it in front of a number of people about trying to Jew them down. They tried to Jew me down, that kind of thing. Well, I'm not going to get Jewed down. And she used it like that, and people remember. Whoa, wait a minute! Oh yes, and they brought that out in order to get her defeated, but it didn't work, unfortunately. But that was part of her history. She's not a real bright bulb, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Someone that says that publicly is not. I don't know. I'm not going to make the fender, but they're usually not. It's just stupid things. Like they don't realize that what they're saying. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a. They don't realize because they just heard it so much in their life.
Yeah. But the Supreme Court has been fine. Really overturning a lot of that goofball stuff.
And
a lot of it's been pretty good. McQueen, we're hoping for better. But
they really have. I got to say, if there was ever they could have been better. They could have expanded Section 4 a little bit. They could have said a husband and wife can grow in the same room, right? But they did for all purposes kind of retain at least the Section 8 defense. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
And they unanimously, a lot of times, came together and just reversed some terrible opinions. Not even, and stuff that was so off the wall and so.
Well, the thing that I remember, the most memorable instances of that is that one about drugged driving. What's that? Kolonek or something? Kuhn. There you go. This was so beautiful. They didn't even have hearings, and they're the Supreme Court. They don't have to have a hearing.
Right.
They can do anything they want.
Yeah.
And they said, they didn't even have a hearing. They just issued a ruling that was over and out.
And that's an interesting. That's going to be a topic of the future. Do we need we were talking about this last week, the per se number or not? What evidence are we going by? The Attorney General. This is going to be discussion amongst them. Police officers are going to want to know, hey, what are we going to do about if you legalize marijuana? People are going to go to bars. These private things are going to be driving. What's the safe thing? The streets, the children, blah 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 blah. And that case is an important case because if you ask the question, what are we doing with patients? Because patients are allowed to have it in their system. Stop. Wait 1 second. And unlike regular citizens who can't have any of it in their system, zero tolerance. You've got this disparity. So if it's so dangerous, number one, when Kuhn said that patients are allowed to have it in their system so long as they're not impaired, you would have thought that there would have been accidents all over the place and we could tie all those deaths and disaster back to these patients. Did not happen.
No, total hocus pocus.
Total hocus pocus. Further, there is, AAA did that study that, they can't come up with a per se number. Mm-hmm. But
then there's a new
but
case
most importantly is that the state of Michigan, while they have a law on the books that says zero tolerance is punishable like drunk driving 0.15, they're using the same citizens that they would punish for that to do a guinea pig experiment to figure out if there is a per se number they can come up with, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have one for marijuana.
Well, and
they don't have,
They'll find one, I assure you.
well, they don't have one for any of these other narcotics either that are on the controlled substance list, right?
Right.
No, but we do have the Impaired Driving
no,
Safety
wait,
Commission that's trying to set a per
theoretically,
se number right
anything
now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we're talking about.
Right, and we also have
traced
this new
down,
case
but
today.
this was based upon,
Yeah.
that
Should-
proxy THC, the kind that don't get you high. Or that's
Carboxy, right,
there
there's
you go,
what's that, this,
carboxy.
what is it?
The metabolite.
You're thinking Fiesel.
Feasel.
Yeah, Fiesel. That's the
Stare
one.
decisis
Yeah.
case where
Yeah.
they decreed that
Yeah,
it's not a
yeah.
psychoactive substance.
And that was a big win. for
Huge.
us. That was huge. That was big.
And they talked about
Yeah.
the MMA at that time in that case.
You know, we had a new case come out today dealing with this driving issue. And in this case, the person was charged with the drug driving or with any amount in their system, but they were claiming a medical use or being able to use medical marijuana should entitle them to the protection of the Medical Marijuana Act, that they should have to prove, instead of zero tolerance, that they should have to prove for conviction in this case that the person was actually operating the motor vehicle under the influence of THC. And this is a for publication case. It came out today from the Michigan Court of Appeals. It's case number 336467, People versus Dana Lynn Cook. So, as I said, she was actually, unfortunately, a third-time drunk driver or drug driver, so she's looking at felony charges. Pretty serious case. So, in order to assert a defense there and to avoid that zero-tolerance aspect of our drug driving laws, or what they say, any amount, operating with any amount, the defense attorney asked for a Section 8 hearing and claimed the medical need and claimed that, I can set forth all the elements here to show that, that she did have a bona fide affirmative defense here, and that the prosecution should therefore have to prove that she was operating under the influence instead of the zero tolerance. Well, the court here denied the Section 8 hearing. All right. Never had the hearing. Now, she was also charged with possession of marijuana, and so this court in St. Clair Circuit Court actually said, well, yeah, you can have a Section 8 hearing on the possession, but not on the drug driving. So they took that up here on appeal in this case, and it didn't turn out good. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But actually, they really didn't decide that particular issue because, in the meantime, this particular person had a plea offer where they dropped the possession charge if she pled to the drug driving, and she did that even after this is after she filed her appeal in the Court of Appeals. So she thought that would reserve her right to appeal it, and she even mentioned that at the appeal hearing, that this application is pending, at the plea hearing, rather.
We know the lawyer in this case. I'm wondering, why was it not Section 4? Because if they'd done that under Section 4...
But she didn't have a card to do Section 4.
No card at all?
Yeah, that's why.
She had an expired card?
No card. I know she did try to do Section 8. I'm pretty sure she didn't have a card. Anyway, the point was she was denied Section 8 here, and she pled guilty and mentioned her application, but they said no, that was an unconditional guilty plea. She thought she was making a conditional plea. So because she pled guilty, she waived her right to challenge Section 8 on appeal. So we don't actually get a decision on this.
All right, back to over here.
But it was.
How are we doing? Where are we on our...
It's
all right.
2 minutes to 10, so it's time for closing remarks.
Well, we
can run overtime.
Well, let's take a quick break and come back, and then right? Are we in the middle of something?
Okay.
Let's take a quick break and then decide where we're at, and because we can be, take a quick break, Jimmy. Throw some music on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
10 o'clock.
I'm getting a little...
All right, then let's do that. I don't want to keep it on. I thought, if we got more. I mean, we're like a third into it. All right, so let's say our final thoughts. Go around the room. Any other Jimmy? What final thoughts on what went on tonight? Let's give a grade to the show. What do you got?
The show gets an A minus.
All right, fine. Yeah. Why? Fine, Deb.
The minus has to do with Chad and the roll of tape.
Where is he? He's not even here.
I'm giving the show an A because Chad is not here.
Okay.
But even if he was here, but I think it should be part 1. There needs to be part 2,
there you
at
go.
least.
We'll have to
That's
get
right.
part
Very
2.
good. Like you said. Jeanette, hello, Jeanette. Welcome.
Hi.
Good to see you. You're only here for a short time, but please.
I'm giving it an A.
All right, very
I
good.
heard our guest speaker was really funny and the Godfather. So there you go.
That's right. All right, Steve. Final thoughts.
Terrific show.
That's
I think, like you said, you're only about a third into it, so We want you back, Tim.
Well,
whenever,
thank you.
whenever it's good for you, and let's continue this on. This is fantastic.
This is wonderful.
Here's a Rasta lawyer coming in right here.
Yeah,
Rasta
no,
lawyer.
This is nice.
Yeah, Michael, I just want to tell you to talk to Sonny about the olive oil shipments when you get done here, okay?
All right.
Great show.
Okay. All right. So we're wrapping up.